Hey everyone, it's Alex Richter, aka the Kung Fu Genius. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible, staying fit and exercising the mind. Normally my episodes are about a specific topic or something of historical or cultural significance for Wing Chun practitioners, but today I wanted to talk about something a bit different as my mind has been elsewhere these days. On April 11th, we lost a great light in the WT Wing Chun world, and that was Sifu Elmond Leung, my Sibak. When people speak kindly of those who've passed on, we're used to hearing all sorts of trite compliments as to how great they were, but with my Sibak, all those typical compliments were true. There are only kind things to say about him, and he was an absolute gem of a human being. Calm and measured, his example shows me I still have a long way to go to match his temperament. Sifu Elmond was there in the early days of the development of Sifu Leung Teng's IWTA. He was there during a time when it was a bit tougher, more honest, and with a less refined teaching system. But in those early days, he was one of those who was at Sifu Leung Teng's side during those days of promotion, including when Sifu Leung Teng still taught for the Wing Chun Athletic Association before he even formed the IWTA. Many people don't know this, but Sibak Elmond first began Wing Chun under Grandmaster Yip Man. After training directly under Grandmaster Yip Man for a time period at the Wing Chun Athletic Association, he took a short break for his studies, and when he returned, Grandmaster Yip Man had appointed a young Sifu Leung Teng as the new head instructor for the Wing Chun Athletic Association. And from that point on, a young Elmond Leung followed Sifu Leung Teng and called him Sifu. Now in this world of self-appointed, gold stripe wearing fake WT grandmasters and people who inflate their titles, here we have someone who could legitimately claim to be a direct student of Grandmaster Yip Man, but he called Sifu Leung Teng as his Sifu because that was the person who was most directly responsible for his training. How many people do you know who would do that? Before I had ever met Sibak Elmond, I already knew his name. As a Wing Chun fanatic, I used to read the pages of the genealogy of the Wing Chun family book. I would just read all the names of Grandmaster Yip Man students as well as the names of students in that book. I remember seeing his name in there and hoping that I would one day cross paths with him when I began teaching in America. Flash forward a few years later, and as a young instructor in the IWTA, I dealt with a lot of pressure running a big school and dealing with internal politics. My Sibak was there to give me advice and comfort me in dealing with my Sigong, who's not always an easy person to deal with. As Sibak Elmond had known Sifu Leung Teng since the late 60s, he was one of the very few who had the experience to give me real advice and not just trite platitudes. He also helped me understand what Sifu Leung Teng's ambition and drive was like in the early 70s when he was still making a name for himself. And this proved to be a great inspiration for my own ambition and allowed me to do something important, and that is to see someone's good points and learn from their bad points. It was Sibak Elmond who allowed me to see my Sigong with a fair and open view. When I took an inventory of all the incredible lessons he taught me, it's things like these that stand out. Having someone I could trust help me navigate the treacherous waters of WT politics, and I don't even think I ever told him how much that helped me. A few years back, I had the extreme pleasure to interview him for the cover of Wing Chun Illustrated magazine, issue number 30, back in 2016. When I contacted Sibak to do the interview, that's when he told me the news of his cancer. That hit me so hard, I wanted to make sure that the article told his story, as so few people knew about him. The reason he wasn't so well known had a lot to do with his humility and not putting himself out in the forefront, which is tremendous considering that until his passing, he's the most senior student of Sifu Leung Teng in the USA by far, and numbers 2, 3, and 4 in seniority after Sibak Elmond in the US are not a fraction of his skill, knowledge, and most importantly, his humanity. If you have not read that Wing Chun Illustrated issue 30 with Sifu Elmond, I suggest you get a subscription or order a hard copy. I promise you it's worth it. As an instructor, although I had met with him perhaps a dozen times, he was undoubtedly a huge influence in my Wing Chun career. He learned Wing Chun in the 60s and early 70s, in a time before Sifu Leung Teng's program was bogged down with Chi Sao sections and optimized for seminars. He knew the old school stuff, which was more direct, a bit rougher, and contained many gems not taught by many WT instructors today. He revolutionized my footwork by teaching me the old plum flower step, something which is a staple of my teaching program to this day. He opened my eyes about generating more rotation in the long pole techniques, taught me rarities like the dragonfly tap and poisonous snake bars the road in the long pole. He taught me kicking and Qigong applications that blew my mind. But more importantly, he helped me get rid of a lot of baggage in my Wing Chun, simply to simplify, as some might say. But my fondest memory of him has nothing to do with something he told me or something that he taught me. I was in Hong Kong with him for Chinese New Year in 2011. At the celebration in the IWTA gym, Sifu Leung Teng was in a salty bad mood for whatever reason, and people were avoiding him. But when I came in with Sifu Elmond, everyone's eyes lit up. Many of his old Sihengs and Sidais, most of whom had not seen him for decades, were overwhelmed with joy. They chatted as if they had not been apart for 10 minutes. I could feel how happy everyone was and how the feeling of a real Kung Fu family is most important for success for any instructor, regardless of how many students they have. When we think about what we want our legacy to be like once we're gone, we can all strive to be a bit more like Sifu Elmond. 多謝晒，師伯。